Dear teachers, welcome to JS in English Learning. We are with Unit 5 of PGTRB and we begin Henry IV Part 1, which is a non-detailed play prescribed in this unit. And let's start with the year in which the play was written and published. William Shakespeare wrote Henry IV Part 1 around 1596 and 1597, and the play was published in 1598. Right. What kind of play is Henry IV Part 1? When you say Part 1, there are other parts of the play. We will speak about the other parts of the play a little later. Now, what kind of play is this? What genre does it belong to? It belongs to the historical play category. Now, William Shakespeare wrote Henry IV Part 1 based on a few works. What are the source for William Shakespeare's Henry IV Part 1? And the first source is Raphael Holinshed's Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland. This was a very important work. And so it is one of the chronicle plays of William Shakespeare also. What is that chronicle play? A play which was based on English history. In the history of there was a man by name Raphael Holinshed. He wrote a famous book titled Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland, because it was then known as Great Britain. And this particular Chronicle of England, Scotland, Ireland was published around 1587. This is one of the editions. This work was based on another work by another writer. What is that work? There was a writer by name Edward Hall. There was a writer by name Edward Hall. He wrote a very famous work, The Union of the Two Illustrious Families of Lancaster and York, which was first published in 1548, and the second edition appeared in 1550. And basing this work as the primary work, Raphael Holinshed wrote his work, Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland. And William Shakespeare read these books and he took the plot for Henry IV Part 1. And there is also possibility, according to critics, that William Shakespeare should have read the poems of the Civil Wars by Samuel Daniel. Samuel Daniel no ஒரு poet இருந்தாரு. அவர் Civil Wars, இங்கிலாந்துல இருந்த Civil Wars பத்தி poem எழுதி இருந்தார். 1595ல he published a 4-book volume of poetry titled The Civil Wars Between the Two Houses of Lancaster and York. இந்த workையும் William Shakespeare படித்து இருக்க வேண்டும். And அதை படிக்கலனா கூட என்ன பண்ணியிருக்கலாம் அவரு ரஃபேல் ஹாலின்ஷெட் ஒர்க்கையும் படித்து இருந்திருப்பார். அப்ப இந்த ஒர்க்ல இருந்து அவரு கொஞ்சம் ஐடியாஸ் கேதர் பண்ணி ஒரு பேசிக் லைனை எடுத்துட்டு then he added a bit of fictional element and created a magic. And then critics claim that there was another anonymous play from which William Shakespeare might have borrowed the plot for Henry IV Part 1. What is that work? Anonymous play titled The Famous Victories of Henry V. This work, we do not know who is the author, but it was printed by Thomas Creed in the year 1598. These are the famous sources. Number 1, Raphael Holinshed, Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland. Then a prior work was Edward Hall's The Union of the Two Illustrious Families of Lancaster and York. And then a work, a poem written by Samuel Daniel titled The Civil Wars Between the Houses of Lancaster and York. And then you have an anonymous play titled The Famous Victories of Henry V. So this must be the sources for William Shakespeare's Henry IV Part 1. Okay, what is this play all about? We get into the background of the play. This play, Henry IV Part 1, actually dramatizes a part of the reign of King Henry IV of England. The play begins with the battle at Hamilton Hill in 1402 and ends with King Henry's victory in the Battle of Shrewsbury in the middle of 1403. அப்ப ரெண்டு போர்களுக்கு இடையே நடந்த நிகழ்வுகளை அடிப்படையாக கொண்டே இந்த ஒரு பிளே ஆனது எழுதப்பட்டது. What are the two battles? Battle of Hamilton, which took place in 1402, and then King Henry's victory in Battle of Shrewsbury in the middle of 1403. இதற்கு இடையில உள்ள விஷயங்கள் தான் நமக்கு Henry IV Part 1. It also presents the political conflict that existed between King Henry and a rebellious faction of the nobles. அவரோடு துணையாக இருந்த ஒரு சில நோபல் மென் என்ன பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா, they turn against him. And you find there is little information about the future king who will also become one of the Shakespeare's hero, King Henry V. He is known as Prince Hall, who is almost a dissipated young man, a man who is into carefree life. And this man was called to assist his father, and how that man becomes a very strong support to the father, and how he later becomes the next king. அப்படிங்கிறது இந்த பிளே உடைய கருவாக இருக்கிறது. Now, Henry IV Part 1 is the first of Shakespeare's two plays that deal with the reign of Henry IV. There are two plays about Henry IV. That is Henry IV Part 1 and Part 2. And this Henry IV Part 1 is the second play in the trilogy, which includes Henry IV, Richard II, and Henry V. Right? So this is a short introduction that I'm giving regarding Henry IV Part 1. With this as the background, tomorrow we will get into the play. We are winding up here, teachers. If you have any queries, you are most welcome to ask.